Okay, so, being a sergeant and there's only one other officer on my shift, I like to think of us as equal. My rank does not define me, and I don't let them not having my rank define them. It's just me and one other officer. We do everything the same. We do everything together as a team. Our main goal is to provide safety and security for staff, civilians, and inmates. That is what's most important to us. Now, as a detention officer, working on night shift, we have different duties as day shift, and I've never worked day shifts, so I'm going to be more in depth with nights. When we come in at 6 p.m., we start with pill call, and that's us giving the inmates their meds. We go around. We also pass hot water. That's what they make their noodles, their meals, their coffee with. We provide hot water for them. Usually on day shift, they'll do court service stuff, medical call, go see the nurse. They'll do yard call. They go out on the yard, which is the yard down here. This isn't our yard, but it is a yard at a jail. After pill call and pill call and hot water, we're usually free if we're not booking and releasing people until about 10 p.m. At that point, me and another officer or two other officers, because we'll have 3 until lockdown, we'll go and lock everybody down. We go through every dorm. We go through every cell. We search. We don't do an in-depth search like a shakedown, but we go through. We make sure everybody's okay. Nothing's out of the ordinary. No contraband is laying around. We're not going to go and tear everything apart. We're going to put everything back nice and neat. We're going to be respectful to their things. That's their home. We're going to do lockdown after that. We lock them in their cells. They're going not for the rest of the night. And if we're not booking or releasing anybody after lockdown, usually us nighttime officers will do paperwork, which is a huge part in law enforcement, and everybody will learn that. We're usually going through files, making sure everything's caught up. Everybody's been fingerprinted. Everybody's charges have been entered in the system. We go through and we file files after breaking them down. We go through what we call the big book. Everybody gets written in when they come in at the booking. After that, it's usually free ride. We'll serve breakfast in the morning with day shift, do head count together. We wake the kitchen crew up. We do have inmates that work in the kitchen to make the meals. As a detention officer, those are more of your duties. As a sergeant, I try not to be a GCIC sergeant. I try to be more involved with my officers so they don't feel that I'm not doing anything. I like to know what's going on. I want to be told everything. I like to be in there face to face with everybody. I'm not going to stay in an office. That's not me. We oversee our shift, our officers. We train them. We release them from training. We usually do about a 28-night training. Emergencies, everything will always be reported back to me. If it's a small issue, I expect my officers to be able to handle it by themselves. But if it's something bad enough, it needs to be reported to me. And examples like a fight or someone's hurting, they need Tylenol, everything like that gets logged down. Everything gets logged down. If it's not written down, it didn't happen. You'll learn that. And we call the shots. Any big decision made usually goes through us, whether that be the emergencies, medical emergencies, where we have to call the nurse, get things approved, emergency room visits. We have to call the captain, the lieutenant, the major, the chief deputy, or the sheriff. And they usually expect that from us. So right here in this picture, there's several pictures. This is all contraband that's been found by me and my officers. This is not all the contraband. On the next slide, there's more, but this is all that's been found since I've been sergeant from September. That's not long at all. And some stories I've been through and some contraband I have found, some shanks, tobacco, drugs, tattoo supplies. We've been through hangings, fights, medical emergencies. It happens in every facility. An officer will come in contact with one of these sometime in their career field. No doubt about it. So right up here in this corner, it looks like 2 little stamp squares. I actually found some acid in a girl's phone case before searching her stuff when she got booked in. And right here, we had a shakedown not too long ago. This is just some of the things that were found. My officer that I'm still training right now, he's almost done with his training, actually found this. I was very super proud of him for this because it's a handmade shank. It's very important. These are very serious and dangerous. What makes it a homemade shank or a self-made shank is that it has a handle. So with this, it's a metal piece. It looks like it might be from a pipe from a bathroom or a restroom. It's kind of sharpened at the bottom. They may have been using it to cut food. You know, maybe they didn't have any violent intentions with it, but it's still a weapon in our hands. So they had what looks to be a sheet or maybe a t-shirt wrapped around it to make a handle. So that's what, you know, defines a shank to us. Right here is a pretty decent sized tattoo gun. It's self-made. They may have had like a paper clip or something like that to make the needle. They'll sharpen the end of it to make it very pokey. Down more at the bottom, some gloves and stuff found. Wires. They'll use wires to heat up water, like their cigarettes that they somehow smuggle in. They have all the time in the world to come up with stuff like this, so it's not unusual. This is more of contraband that was found, most of it during the shakedown. I'll start with this. They look like Tums, but we honestly thought it was MDMA. Right here is a little bit of the straw that I'd found. It's probably about 3 inches long. Drug-related objects. Obviously, when you find a cut straw, they usually use it to snort drugs with. You can tell this is deal packaged because it was packaged with the outer plastic of a cigarette pack. You can see the sticker right here at the bottom that you see on cigarettes on the bottom. And then it was twisted and burnt at the top where it was knotted up. This right here is a tattoo needle, a pick and poke one. It's a toothbrush. And they may have had a paper clip, a staple, something they have found probably on the ground or something to sharpen and pick and poke tattoos with. This is that same shank we just talked about, but there's another metal piece right here. Very thin, sharp, looked just like a razor or a knife. They probably used it to cut food as well. Right here is some more tattoo stuff. We have some gloves and some, I think, antibiotic cream stuff. We also have some tattoo ink. It was black. It's like ashes. They burn stuff, make ashes. It's a black powder. When they wet it, it turns into ink. Very unsanitary. Like a pill bottle that had maybe chemicals in it to keep stuff sanitized, they think. This one is the first shank we had found. And there's a story with it, and that's what initiated the shakedown in the first place. 3 inmates had came to me one night. 3 grown men in maximum security came to me one night and told me they needed to talk to me, so I pulled them up and I talked to them. And one of them said they had contraband in their waistband, and they had given it to me. And they told me it was from another inmate that was going around threatening people who had very violent history. Not someone anybody would want to mess with on the street. And it's just me and one other, or there was 2 officers there at the time. I was picking up overtime. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was, and this is what got dealt with. These 3 grown men were crying to me, refusing to go back to this dorm until we had moved the violent inmate. So we ended up hiding these 3 inmates in another part of the jail where they could not be seen. We had 6 officers, 2 deputies, other jail officers, 2 sergeants. We had a shock shield, 4 tasers, and we ended up going in on this inmate and comprehending him and escorting him up to isolation. He's on involuntary PC now. And we figured out the shank, the metal piece, which was filed down to be pointy and sharp, came from the fan. Tig, stop it. Stop. No.